All right, figures from the National Bureau of Statistics indicates that internally generated revenue at state level for the fourth quarter and full year of 2020 dropped by 20 billion naira at 1.31 trillion naira compared to 1.33 trillion at the end of 2019. Placing this side by side with the total public debt, which as of December 31st, 2020 was at 32.915 trillion. A comment from the CBN governor indicating that states would have to pay their debt. We'll discuss the implication of the dwindling revenue and possibility and the impact on states paying up with Mr. Paul Alaja, a senior economist with SPM Professionals. Hello, Mr. Alaja. Great to have you. Good morning.
Good morning, and thank you so much for having me.
Thank you. So before we delve into the core of our discussion, what's your position on the printing of 50 to 60 million naira additional FAC for March? The CBN governor referred to it as a budget support.
Well, recall that the governor of Edo State had said Nigerian Central Bank had printed 50 to 60 billion to support states and local government FAC in sharing. And Minister of Finance have said, no, we did not print. And CBN have said, well, it's a support, which is our responsibility. As a matter of fact, I don't think there is a disagreement. It depends on who is speaking and who you are talking to. When we talk about printing in economics, it's not going to the printing press to print money. So to that extent, you say Minister of Finance is not wrong to say we have not printed. But you see, when you learned that when central bank gives money to government that has not earned, that has not borrowed, it's also printing without necessarily going to the printing press to print. There are modern ways of doing that. It's not even new and it's not unique to Nigeria. So to that extent, you will say that central bank, the governor of Edo State was not also lying. It's also saying the truth. And the judge in this case is the central bank governor that said, well, the responsibility of any central bank is to support government as a lender of the last resort. So our job is to print money. So if you ask me, as an economist, was money printed? I will say yes. But as a layman, was money printed? I will say no. So it depends on who you are talking to. So for the clarity and clarification, it is not that money has been printed and is going to be distributed on streets. And I know a lot of people will say, oh, why can't we just print the money and let all of us be millionaire? Well, I'm glad to tell you that you may want to use the money to build a house. The cost of a bag of cement is about 3,500, 3,600. At that time, may go as high as 300,000. You may need to pack a truckload of money, of naira, to go and buy just an SUV car. So there is no point doing that. And that is why no central bank will print in that quantity and say it wants to distribute, so that we don't find ourselves in the way of Argentina or Zimbabwe. But because of the challenge we have, government may not be generating as much as it has budgeted for, and may not be also getting the kind of support is expecting in terms of funding coming from outside Nigeria, the form of grant, or it may not also get borrowing, maybe through T-bills or bonds, internally sourced loans, or through multilateral or commercial loans coming from outside. The central bank may need to intervene. But in this regards, professionally speaking, it is also printing money.
All right, thank you for bringing some understanding to that. Well, now that the CBN governor is asking states to pay up, how convenient will this be, and what are the possible impacts of these repayments on microeconomic variables?
Well, it's like asking asking a chicken to fly above the sky to compete with an eagle to fly really high. As I talk to you, the states, if you look at the revenue generated, internal revenue generated in first half of 2020, where Lagos State did over 200 million, and followed by River State with 64 billion naira. You want to look at state that did very poorly, like Jigawa State, only 3 billion in 6 months. And you also want to look at, okay, so you are displaying full year, Lagos about 418. So I was just talking about half year. Jigawa there full year is 8.6 billion, and Gombe, you can look at it. We have a lot of states doing really poorly, less than 1 billion a month. So when you say such states should pay back, it's like saying we want to promote poverty, hunger, and misery within the states. Definitely this state, it will be very inconvenient for them to pay back, and it's going to even have so much negative impact on the entire economy at large. So even though central bank may have a lot of worries about inability of state to pay, but saying that they should pay now, I am worried it may even cause much more danger for the entire federation.
Yeah, but when we now say this, does it mean that this should be a permanent thing, that states will keep owing and depending on the federal government? Is there no possibility of the states being independent? I mean, there are a lot of resources that can generate revenue in different states of the country.
Okay, so I'll tell you what Lagos State is doing. As I talk to you, Lagos State is building rail, connecting somewhere from Onyigbo all the way to Agbado. What does that mean? It means that economic activity in Lagos would increase. Coaches will be purchased by private sector, from what we heard the governor mention, and the launch that happened in Ikeja last week, Thursday, of Lagos rail system. It means Lagos is deliberately boosting revenue for the state. So don't be surprised that in the next 2 years, Lagos may be doing double of what it's doing now. Let's go to Ekiti State. What is the policy in place to support small businesses within the same region? Go up north, where we have Jigawa, one of the states that did very poorly, and Adamawa State, etc., etc. For me, I think citizens of states should consider choice of leaders beyond who is popular politically. We should now start to look at people who can make policies, and in this regard, economic policies that will bring the states to economic prosperity. You know, states have continued to rely on federal government, and will they have monies to pay? The answer is no. If what you generate internally cannot support you for your recurrent expenditure, I don't think such states have so much to be proud of. So when you look at how much some of these states are also using to service loan, when you look at Kaduna State, look at Osun State, you have a lot of worries and a lot of concerns about the ability of states to pay back. It is not fair that states are owing, more so that Nigerian government in 2016, 2017 has said we need to bail out states, repeating American model. But unlike America that supported businesses, Nigeria decided to support government, state government, because economy, you know, you and I, it's very easy to say, oh, a state is a civil servant state. It's an aberration. But it is common for us to say a state is a civil servant state. So if it's a civil servant state, what are the economic drivers? It means if state government refuse to pay salary, the whole state will be, or will be grounded, or will be on its knees. So, which is not the way it should be. That is why poverty, hunger, and deprivation continues to grow among the states. If you ask me by the way of solution, what should we do? Or what do I think state governors should do, or citizens of states should do? What I think governors should do is perhaps to collaborate with federal government to drive industry, or to support linkage between agriculture, because most states seem to have some settlement, some farm, some level of agricultural activity happening with them, particularly the core northern states, the 12 or 13 states within the northern region. How do we connect some of our output deliberately, not somebody just leaving Kano and is going to Mile 12 in Lagos to sell tomatoes? How can we deliberately plan this such that manufacturing can start taking place, processing of output can start taking place in some northern region? But you know, all of this because of the new environment we find ourselves, which is insecurity, which is responsible for high food inflation. According to National Bureau of Statistics, over 20%, about 22%, and also logistics, which is also a major concern that we have today. So we have quite a number of situations in our hands. State governor should pay back, but will they be able to pay back now? I doubt, except if you want to keep the state agrand. And if you see, recently, some states have started reverting back to 18,000 minimum wage. And when you look at official rate, as published on CBN website, as at this morning, 379 naira, convert it and see if you use parallel market, the worry will be much. It will mean we are about paying people to remain poor. 18,000 at official rate, or to balance it about 400 naira. How much will it be? Are we going to be, are we going to meet what UNDP and World Bank and United Nations had called living below poverty line? That means more and more people may be going back to poverty brackets. Something is fundamentally wrong. Productivity in Nigeria is very low at the state level, at the federal level, more importantly at the local government level. There will be no productivity if there are no sufficient economic activities happening. And the example I have given time and again, there are quite a number of them we can do. Nigeria has solutions within, but we need political will. We need policies that will make us bring out these our potentials into reality. And if you ask me what are these potentials, 40 million school pupils. That is what different government agencies has put the number of people that are in school, not out of school. We seem to talk more of out of school children, but have we maximized those that are in school? 40 million primary, secondary, in both public and private. The question is, who is making school uniform for our pupils? Who is making, who is designing, who is producing school uniform? Kaduna used to be the textile head office, textile secretariats, textile corners, textile headquarters of the entire West Africa. Today, Kaduna Textile Mill has become not just moribund, but a shadow of itself. If you can go back into that, because job can be sustained as more cotton farmers from Katsina and the rest of the north continue to produce, and we have this translating to school uniform. I don't care whether it is checkers or it is stripes, even if it is abada, as we say it in the east, or if it is Ankara, as we say it in the some part of Nigeria. School uniform will not make you to learn more or learn less. It will only, it's also a way of identification of which school this belongs to. And I hope if we do it, we will get there sooner than we can imagine.
Yeah, but what practical steps do you think we can use to boost productivity at this point?
Okay, so apart from looking at manufacturing, there are some things which authorities must do and citizens must do. A practical step to boost productivity will be to look at our competitive cost advantage, particularly in agriculture. As I talk to you, a lot of output are happening in Benue. How do we get this output to Abuja and to benefit the people? One of the things authorities should do, which they've started doing and I'm happy with, is rail, connecting Nigeria via rail, because of concerns of insecurity and also concerns of road infrastructure that is not sufficient today. How fast we can do that, how convenient we can do that is something else to do. But you see, productivity of people would improve when the environment that will enhance productivity is put in place, which includes generating sufficient power supply, moving away from what we have between 3,500 megawatts distributed, not generated, distributed, to average of 5,000 megawatt distributed, because it is what is distributed that is consumed at the end of the day. So when we have some of these things in place, then we train people. If you want to look at models that India is currently using, that is making India to emerge and to grow away from third world country, even though it's still one, but to go really fast, also on ease of doing business. Or we want to look at the model used by China. I would say that when you look at trade reports that was published for fourth quarter by National Bureau of Statistics, for one quarter, Q4 alone by National Bureau of Statistics shows that Nigeria imported over 300 billion naira worth of vaccine. That was for fourth quarter. When you go to third quarter, Nigeria imported similar amounts.
All right, thank you. We really have to take it there because it's time for a break. But thank you so much for sharing your thoughts with us, and we'll certainly talk about the issue of import in a moment. Mr. Alaje is a senior economist at SPM Professionals. Thank you for being on the show. So we'll take a break now, and Business Morning will be right back.